Hello everyone, my name is Brad Cressley and I'm the owner of Carving County Music and More here in Lehighton. I am also the director of music at Zion UCC Church in Lehighton and Zion Opera Workshop. I'm the director of the Lehighton Band, and I also teach music at two different schools. I teach music at St. Jerome's Regional School in Tamaqua for children from kindergarten through 8th grade. And I also teach at St. John Newman Regional School in Palmerton and Slatington. Also, those students go from kindergarten to grade 8. So I'm here today to read a story to you because, as we know right now, we can't go into our libraries for programs, but we want to make sure that you keep reading and that you keep hearing stories and you keep learning. So of course, since what I told you about myself is that I'm involved in a lot of musical things, the story that I want to read for you today deals with music. And the story that I'm going to read for you today is called "And to Think That We Thought That We'd Never Be Friends." It's kind of hard to say. And to think that we thought that we'd never be friends. And you're going to hear that a lot in this story. It is written by Marianne Hoberman, and it is illustrated by Kevin Hawks. And this is a story that I sometimes read to my younger children at the schools that I teach at. So I hope you enjoy it as much as they do. And to think that we thought that we would never be friends. And you have to excuse the book. I've read it several times, so it's kind of starting to fall apart a little bit here. So I'll do my best to keep it together for you. We thwacked and we whacked and we walloped away, and we still might be fighting to this very day, pinching and punching my brother and I, if only our sister had not happened by. She was sipping some soda pop out of a cup, and she said she would share it if we would make up. And since we were thirsty and tired and sore, we each took a drink and we ended our war. It's funny how quickly an argument ends, and to think that we thought that we'd never be friends. And you can see it's falling apart, but you can see that they're all playing together on the wagon, and the brother's pulling it, and the sister's pushing it, so they're all getting along, even though they were just arguing. That night after supper, we turned on TV, but we couldn't agree on what show we should see. I wanted one, my sister wanted another, and both of us hated the choice of our brother. And we probably all would be arguing yet if our dad hadn't come in and turned off the set. So we put on pajamas, curled up in his bed, and he read us a wonderful story instead. It's funny how quickly an argument ends, and you know what's coming here. And to think that we thought that we'd never be friends. A day or two later, it wasn't much more, a great big new family moved in right next door. How many were in it, we couldn't quite tell, but they each played an instrument. Not very well. One played a tuba, and one a bassoon. They practiced all morning and all afternoon. They practiced all evening and all through the night, and they kept us from sleeping. And that wasn't right. You can see they're all playing their different instruments there. You can see the tuba, it's really big. Okay, you can see them all playing instruments. I think it's kind of funny, there's a goldfish coming out of that horn. So we got out of bed with a hippity hop, and we marched off together to beg them to stop. But when we arrived there, they asked us to play, and they did it so nicely that what could we say? I took a whistle, my sister a flute, and my brother a trumpet that gave a loud toot. My dad took a bugle, my mother a drum, and we all forgot totally why we had come. It's funny how quickly an argument ends, and to think that we thought that we'd never be friends. Then all of a sudden we heard a loud blare. A siren came wailing from out of thin air. A police car pulled over, out jumped the police, and they told us that we were disturbing the peace. And they said if we didn't stop playing this minute, they'd take us to jail and put all of us in it. My brother got red and my sister grew pale, and everyone trembled on going to jail. But my mother explained that the noise we had made was because we were practicing for a parade. And she said that the siren had sounded so grand that she hoped they would ride at the head of our band. It's funny how quickly an argument ends. Now all of the police had turned into our friends. And of course, here in Lehighton, the police are always our friends. We have a great police force here. We marched down the street, and each person we passed loudly complained at our ear-splitting blast. They begged us to deaden our deafening din until we invited all of them to join in. We offered them boxes and kettles and spoons, and once they were playing, they all changed their tunes. They were all so pleased by the music we made that they became a part of our parade. More and more people stepped right into place. More and more people kept up with our pace, strutting and striding and stamping their feet, marching in time to the drum's steady beat. And for those of you in school, I'm sure, your music teachers talk to you about what a steady beat is, and you can tap your foot or clap your hands or pat on your lap and keep a steady beat. So all of these people in town are now joining in their parade. Friends who had squabbled and even stopped talking settled their differences once they were walking, smiled at each other and marched hand in hand, keeping the beat of our wonderful band. And then we could hardly believe what we saw. Dog and cat enemies marched paw in paw. And when our procession arrived at the zoo, lions and tigers joined in with us too. It's funny how quickly unfriendliness ends, and to think that we thought that we'd never be friends. Our music was magic, a magnet to all. As to a Pied Piper, they came at its call. And as we kept marching and tooting and drumming, the people kept coming and coming and coming. Hundreds and thousands came running to find us. Thousands and millions fell right in behind us. What a cacophony, what a commotion. Then all of a sudden, we got to the ocean. We came to the place where the whole country ends, with hundreds and thousands and millions of friends. There's all the zoo animals and all the cats and the dogs and all the people that joined in the parade at the ocean where the land ends. Oh, what could we do now? We started to fret. We couldn't keep marching without getting wet. Then just as we all began turning around, we heard the most odd and unusual sound. It wasn't a moan and it wasn't a cry. It wasn't a groan and it wasn't a sigh. It was more like a hum humming high up the scale. A whisper, a whistle, a whimper, a wail. And you can see they're all listening. What is that sound they're hearing? What do you think it is? A whale? No, a whale. See, a whale is something that a sound you can make, but it's also the name of an animal. They're spelled two different ways. They're pronounced the same way, but they mean two totally different things. So it says a whale, like a scream, and then it says no, a whale. Yes, 100 or more, and all of them swimming straight into the shore, singing their whale songs and grinning with glee. So we jumped on their backs and sailed straight out to sea. Sharks swam around us while baring their teeth. Stingrays kept rising from far underneath. But somehow the songs and the music we played convinced them to join in our ocean parade. For music is magic. It soothes and it mends. And to think that we thought that we'd never be friends. We crossed the wide ocean and washed up on land, where people were kept hearing the sound of our band. And even the ones who first came to protest soon were parading along with the rest. And it's hard to believe, but I swear that it's true. By the time we were finished and finally through, and we'd all gotten back to the place we first played, the whole wide world was marching in one big parade. And before we disbanded and each went on our way, we voted to march every year on that day. To march side by side with the friends we had made and the friends we'd made up with in one big parade. And from that day to this is just what we do, with the police siren blaring and the horns tooting too, with our pots and our pans and our trumpets and drums. And everyone comes. And this is our cheer every year when it ends. Forever and ever we'll always be friends. And you can see all of the instruments and some of the animals at the end there. It's kind of a cool story because it talks about how music can bring people together. And depending on how old you are, you may be able to join chorus in school in a few years, or maybe join the band, or just sing on your own, or maybe come up with your own band. You may play a guitar and your friend may play a keyboard, and you might have a friend who plays drums. But just always remember that music is a really important part of everyone's lives. We all love music. So thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. It was And to Think That We Thought That We Would Never Be Friends by Marianne Hoberman and illustrated by Kevin Hawks. Thank you.